Citizen Kane is widely regarded as the greatest film ever made. However, this film does begin with a gigantic plot hole that everyone seems to be ignoring. Everyone in this film is obsessed with Citizen Kane's final word of Rosebud, and they want to know what that means. However, if you go back and watch this movie, you will realize that no one was in the room when Kane died and said those words. Citizen Kane, released in 1941 and is directed by Orson Welles, who made his feature-length directorial debut and acting debut with this film, and is also behind such films like The Stranger, Macbeth, Othello, The Trial, and Touch of Evil. And this film is starring, of course, like I said, Orson Welles, Dorothy Comminger, Everett Sloane, Ray Collins, George Coulouris, Angus Moorhead, Paul Stewart, Ruth Warwick, Erskine Sanford, and William Ulland. And the reason why we're talking about Citizen Kane today is because it was a PayPal recommendation and donation from a contributor, longtime contributor and supporter of this channel, Dr. Camp, another one of your recommendations, and I feel like you're setting me up to fail because there are so many reviews, essays, dissertations done about the film Citizen Kane, and everyone regards it as, if not the best, one of the best films ever made. So if I don't like it, then I'm not a movie reviewer and I'm not a qualified movie critic, right? Or if I don't call it the greatest film ever made and my favorite movie of all time, then where's my credibility, right? You're setting me up to fail. But I really do appreciate the support. If anyone else out there also wants to be like Dr. Camp and help support me and contribute to this channel, you can select the QR code that is in the bottom left corner of your screen right now. Send over your donation with your movie recommendation of $5 or more, and if I have access to it, I will watch it, review it, and give you a little shout out, just like what I did with Dr. Camp here. Charles Foster Kane is an entrepreneur and capitalist icon looking to make as much money as he possibly can in his lifetime. But in real time, the man has just passed away, and the reporters covering his death want to unlock the truth behind Kane's final words of Rosebud. So they dig into Charles Foster Kane's past, interviewing his friends, his family, his former wives, and of course the enemies he made along the way. And as we go down the rabbit hole that is the life of Charles Foster Kane, we discover that in the world of business and capitalism, even though you may start with the best intentions, if you stay too long in the game, you become the enemy of the people. So please know, this is not going to be an in-depth analysis of this film. There are so many other reviews and channels out there that do deep dives into classic films like this, or films that really etch out a corner of the history of cinema. My whole mission statement behind this YouTube channel is for it to be a review and a recollection and my thoughts and feelings from an average movie viewer. So if you are looking for something in-depth, I do apologize, but this is just my brief thoughts on rewatching this film for this review. And you know the film is great when I can say that it's great when I watch this movie while having the flu, just getting over having COVID as well. The month of February frickin' sucked for me. And I was kind of dreading watching this while I was sick because I wanted to really sit down and appreciate it. Well, I guess I was laying down in this case. I was laying down in bed. But I really wanted to stay coherent and appreciate this film for what it was. And I did. While I was trying to keep things inside my body, if you know what I mean. The way that this story is told about this man, we begin for 10-15 minutes of us getting the stereotypical origin story of who Charles Foster Kane is and where he came from, how he got his business started. But then all of a sudden the story stops and we cut into this war room situation where we have a whole bunch of reporters talking about this story and how, yeah, this isn't interesting. We do this all the time for people of power and people of interest. We want to do something different. On his deathbed, he said the word Rosebud. Does anyone know what that means? No. Let's do some research. Let's dig into this. What does Rosebud mean? And that's going to unlock this entire chapter of this man who lived in the public for all his life, and it's going to shell out some juicy dark secrets. It's a brilliant way to tell a story. It's one of the first times that we didn't get this linear structure of point A leading to point B, and then B leading to point C, so on and so forth. We're skipping around. We're going into the future. We're going into the present, and then back into the past, back into the future again. And so many films nowadays and directors directors nowadays use this storytelling device because of this movie. This movie set the tone for this. And when it comes to my movie watching, the most important aspects for me are the plot and the characters. And if I'm just going off of those two ideas here, this film is freaking magnificent. This character of Charles Foster Kane and how he really lives out, I guess if we're using modern day terms, I'm going to quote The Dark Knight, where Harvey Dent said, "You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain." That's who Charles Foster Kane is. He starts off with the best intentions. He buys this newspaper outlet and he is going to put out all of these harsh things to say about the corrupt politicians in the world, and then he's going to run for office and he's going to do the right thing and fight for the people. But then he starts becoming corrupted. He starts focusing on money and women and love and power. And then all of a sudden, the fighting and voice of the little man gets disregarded. And now it's all about the power again. It's a vicious cycle, the world of capitalism and politics. And I know Orson Welles at this time had an established theater career, which is fantastic. But for this to be his first feature-length film behind the camera and also in front of the camera, like, where do you go from here? it's like you had a one and done. You made the greatest film ever made. You don't have to do anything else, sir. Not to mention, the man was dashingly handsome in his younger years. My God, when he comes on screen and he's in his younger years, he's buying that newspaper outlet. You look at him, you go like, man, you are charming, you are dashing, sir. My God. And the use of prosthetics and makeup in this film are fantastic. It's Orson Welles the entire time, other than like very young child version. But once we get into the young stud in his 20s, it's Orson Welles the entire time, going up to the final days of Charles Foster Kane's life. And it's convincing, the way he molds his voice and changes his voice tone and makes it gravelly. He can change the pitch and make it younger and make it healthier. The man is just a frickin' brilliant actor, and I guess I never realized how great of an actor he was. Now that come to think of it, I have not seen a lot of Oscar Welles films, which I guess, shame on me. Again, I'm destroying my credibility with this review. What am I doing? What am I doing here? But then when it comes to the storytelling here, it's magnificent. And the use of the dialogue in this film, like, that's just standard stuff and it's wonderful. But the storytelling and the use of cinematography and the lighting choices and how there are certain blocking moments on screen where you have a couple of characters in the light, and then there's Orson Welles, there's Charles Foster Kane, kind of in the foreground, but he's in darkness. He's ambiguous. He doesn't know where his future is going to go based on the decision that he is about to make. It's all brilliant filmmaking. It really is. Now, I will say I've watched this movie only twice, and it has managed to put me to sleep at the same time. When we get into the big mansion at the end, and everything is so hollow, everything is so cold, everything is so dark, and there's no lack of human connection between Foster Kane and his wife, that puts me to sleep. And it's not from, the quality of the film. It's just those aspects and the sound and just watching it on screen. This is making me very tired. Like Citizen Kane ASMR in the dark, echoey mansion that is the black hole that is Charles Foster Kane's heart. Is Citizen Kane one of the greatest films ever made? I would say yes. It really is. And that's not a cliche. That's what a lot of people would say out there who are also YouTube reviewers and cinephiles, critics. But it really is a magnificent film, especially for it coming out in 1941. It still holds up today. Now, if you're going to ask me, is it my favorite film of all time? Oh, no. No. This film does not define me at all, but I can definitely appreciate this film's greatness and its place in its cornerstone in the history of cinema. And for that, I would say, yeah, it is one of the greatest films ever made. And I don't think you can overhype this film. Again, everyone does say it's the greatest film of all time, but if you watch it, sit down and pay attention and learn to appreciate what it is, yeah, you'll realize that this really is one of the best films ever made. And it's required viewing for anyone out there who wants to get into film and to learn how to watch film and appreciate film for what it is. So, of course, I have to give Citizen Kane 5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I think I see blue. He looks glorious.
So guys, if you've seen Citizen Kane, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below and let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I'm releasing next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.